Hey guys, how's it going? So I'm really excited for today's project. We're standing out here in our new garden where I intend to grow a lot of cut flowers. Like, that's the goal. We're just getting started and it is a little bit late, but we just recently got water out here and got drip tape set up in this front corner. So I wanted to get started with some planting. I have started a little bit. I'm going about it 3 different ways. So I'm going to be direct seeding some things like zinnias and some other types of sunflowers. I also started a lot of things inside during the winter months, which I've already started to bring them out and plant them out here. I have a whole lot more to bring out. And then this winter, when I was dreaming up this whole project, I went ahead and ordered a few flats of some things that I have experience with, that I know do well for us here, and that I know have a good vase life, because I thought, you know what? I'm a little bit untried with some of these varieties. I'm untried with the soil type out here. We've not done anything to work. We haven't worked anything into this soil yet. So I just wanted to kind of ensure a little bit of success. And I thought you guys might like to see some of these things, because I think they're things that you can probably get your hands on fairly easily. So the first thing you probably notice is this one right here. This is called a sun-credible sunflower. I grew it for the first time last year, and it's just an amazing plant. I think it grows up to like 42 inches tall. Last year I had some that got up to my shoulder, and they broaden out and thicken up like 24 inches at least. And they just provide color from the second you put them in the ground until the end of the season, until you get a really hard frost. And that you don't have to deadhead them. So you can, for aesthetic purposes, like I've deadheaded a few of these as we've gone along. I've had these on hand for a few weeks now. But I did leave one just so you guys could see what they look like after they're done blooming. They're really interesting looking and pretty, and add a really beautiful texture to a flower arrangement. So you can just leave the old flowers and just use them right alongside some of the new fresh ones, because like on a stem like this, they come out with these really strong, longer stems, and they come up and bloom in clusters. So like this one will be the first one to be spent. So it'll look more like this one, and these ones will have fresh blooms. So you kind of get like that double look with them. And they're really just a tough plant. They really seem to like our soil. So I'm going to be planting 10 of those. I've got a couple of different varieties of Angelonia here. There's a super white on this side. So we'll talk about this one first. They grow 30 to 40 inches tall. So super tall, they broaden out. We'll be planting these about every foot, 12 to 14 inches or so. But they come up with these beautiful spiky blooms, which I love. I love blooms that look like this, and they're really fun to use in flower arrangements. So I actually got some of these for this garden, and then I have a flat to put in our moon garden as well, because I think that will be really pretty. It'll add height, and it'll add just that bright color, and they bloom all season long. And the other variety of Angelonia is over on this side. It's called Super Blue. Really beautiful. And I love that some of them, like until they're starting to bloom a little bit more on the top, they kind of have this little bendiness, I guess you could call it, but it has a very interesting structure and beautiful in arrangements. Then we've got Meteor Shower Verbena, which has a very long vase life, very strong stems, and this is a very structured flower. Like there's not a lot of manipulating you can do with this one, but it's beautiful tucked into arrangements. And this one grows, can't remember, 20 to 30 inches tall. I love to tuck this one into flower beds as well, because I think it just has that airy kind of ethereal appearance, and it's always just a really beautiful structure. And then we've got Play in the Blue Salvia. It's one of my favorites, like ever, one of my favorite annuals. I love the appearance of the leaves, not just the blooms, but the leaves have that kind of, they're like a cool sagey green, and they have this like muted kind of glossiness. I'm so bad at explaining things, but they have this velvety like looking appearance that's so pretty. And then the blooms, you can see this bloom right here is more fresh. There's more color on it right here. See how pretty that is? But then even on bloom stalks that are a little bit more aged, the calyx that holds on the petals still has that light periwinkle color. So you could clean up the old blooms off of those, and it's still beautiful. I never look at a salvia like this at the Play in the Blues and think like, oh, there's a bunch of spent flowers, I need to clean it up, because it always looks pretty. And then we've got a few other things on this side. So this is a pentas called Sunstar Pink, an Egyptian star flower that come out with these really pretty clusters. Now these look pretty short right now, but they do grow 18 to 20 inches tall, and the stems do elongate, so they're easy to use in arrangements. And all of these, I don't think I mentioned, like full sun. These like full sun, I think these are used a lot in the south where it's very hot and humid, but they did really well for us here last year where it's very hot and dry. So I'm very encouraged about this plant. Got a few of those. And then the last two things I have are some leftovers from projects. So these are two different types of Gaillardia. We've got one called Heated Up Yellow. It's a double Gaillardia. Look how pretty that is. There's some flex in these stems too. Some of them grow to where they actually bend over the side of a vase really nicely and kind of bring that downward motion from your vase. But even when the flowers are spent, look what they look like. Isn't that cool? Such an amazing texture, like a little surprising element to add into a flower arrangement. And then right here is the Heated Up Scarlet, more of a single type bloom. We've got red with a little tinge of yellow on the edges, but this is what the spent bloom looks like. So we've got a little bit of a darker color. And then the very last one I have is a Truffula Pink Gomphrena. I ordered a whole flat of this to put out here, and then I kind of forgot I was going to use it out here and I used it somewhere else. So I only have one left. I'll probably keep this in the greenhouse. I usually like to keep 1 or 2 plants behind of every one that I use in projects, so just in case something happens to one, I can pop a new one in. So that's what I'm going to be doing with this one, but I thought it needs to be mentioned because this is probably one of the best cut flowers ever, because the blooms, even when they dry, they have this intense pink color. I made a wreath out of blooms, the Truffula Pink blooms last year. Last year, and it still looks like this color. It's not been a full year yet, but it's almost a year old, and they're amazing. And these plants get big, like huge plants. So I'm really excited to get them out here. Now I'm planting them in more of a row crop sort of situation, but all of these plants can be planted in containers tucked into flower beds. That's how I've used them in the past. So this is a little bit of a different application, but I think it'll be fun to have some bright color and some familiar faces to look at out here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a little bit of compost and starter fertilizer into the areas where I'm going to plant, because we've not worked a single thing into the soil. And really, when you're planting these in your containers or in your flower beds, a slow release fertilizer like the continuous release that we use in containers is a really good idea. But a lot of times a lot of amending and stuff isn't necessary, but it is for my situation here. So we'll prep the soil, we'll get them planted, then we'll give you a little tour. Doesn't this look awesome? I mean, just even this one corner filled with color already just makes me so happy, and it makes me feel like the space is coming alive. Like, as I was planting these flowers, I was like, yes, finally, this space feels like it's mine. I mean, we've planted some other things. We have some water run in different areas, but putting something in that already has color does something for me. And I know the rest of it will fill in as well, but the first row I put the Sunstar Pink Pentas because those are shorter, and then the Suncredibles. And I am trying to keep in mind color a little bit too, like varying my color. Then we've got Meteor Shower, which will actually end up being shorter than the Angelonia, even though right now it looks opposite. And then the white Angelonia, then the super blue Angelonia. Then we've got the plain the blue Salvia here, which starts right here. And then the red Gaillardia and the yellow Gaillardia. So that's pretty much it for this video. I just wanted to show you flowers going in that are really good for cut flower arranging. I know cut flower gardening is a huge deal, super popular right now, and something I really enjoy doing. And I've used a number of these in flower arrangements in the past, and we'll try to find pictures of the ones I've used these flowers in so you guys can see. But anyway, super excited about this space. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.